Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live at 5. My name is Matt Roden.
I'm Andy Lefkowitz.
And it is Wednesday, August 30th. Yes, is that correct?
30th.
Yes,
that
we
is
have
correct.
an amazing guest here today that I am I have so many things to say. Kate Shindle's here, everybody, which is very, very, very exciting. But first, Andy, fill me in. What's going on?
Okay, so as we all know, Bruce Springsteen is doing a concert engagement on Broadway. Tickets went on sale today, and they were hard to get.
They were a hard ticket?
They were a hard ticket for the 5-week engagement.
Okay.
And it was announced today that the run is going to extend by 10 weeks.
We all want more Bruce.
So now you have until February 3rd, 2018 to see Bruce Springsteen.
February 3rd, 2018?
Yes.
Oh my
at the
God.
Walter Kerr.
He's like a Broadway baby.
As I like to say, born to run. It's going to run.
That is real. I'm into that. No, I'm so into it. I love it.
Yes.
Bring on the puns. Okay.
Yes. So more big news
Yeah, tell
today.
me what else.
Jessie Mueller, whom we all love.
Yes.
She's going to make her feature film debut in Steven Spielberg's new film, The Post.
Mm-hmm.
This is a film about the Washington Post's involvement in exposing the Pentagon Papers. It's also going to star Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Sarah Paulson, Carrie Coon, Tracy Letts, and Stark Sands, who's coming back to Broadway soon in Kinky Boots.
We love Stark Sands.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we can hear ourselves.
Yes,
okay,
totes.
great. Do you know whose birthday it is?
I think I do know whose birthday it is.
Yeah, you probably do because you wrote this.
Yeah, man.
It's William Ivy Long's birthday today.
Yes.
3-time Tony winner. We have a feature on Broadway.com right now taking you through his style inspirations for Chicago the Musical. There's a little mention of Taylor Swift in there, but it's a very nice little feature. He's like 70
years old today.
70 years old?
Yes, 70 exactly.
And he's also getting his Sardi's character.
He is like right now.
Yes,
he's getting
like
his Sardi's
literally
character.
it's happening
Our
right
photographer
now.
just left.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. Happy birthday, William Ivy Long. In other news, Cynthia Erivo, who we know and love, is going to be leading a new film called Bad Times at El Royale.
Yes.
What's El Royale, Andy?
It's a hotel.
Thanks for asking,
Yes.
Andy. It's a hotel. And Cynthia Erivo is going to be playing an out-of-luck singer and it's about a group of people at this Lake Tahoe hotel whose shady agendas collide.
Ooh.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth and Jeff Bridges are also in talks to join the film.
Yes,
Has not
they
been
are.
confirmed, but they are talking. They're discussing the idea.
Yes.
Yeah. What else?
Lea Salonga is going to pay tribute to Ahrens and Flaherty at the Primary Stages Gala, which is going to take place on October 16th at Tribeca 360. Lea Salonga is coming back to Broadway in the revival of Once on This Island.
Thank God,
By
honestly.
Ahrens and Flaherty.
Honestly,
Thank God,
I'm
it's
ready.
right.
I'm ready for that.
Girl, I can't even
Thank
tell you.
God's, oh
Yeah.
God. Okay, never mind.
I like that.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
So in addition to Lea Salonga, Liz Calloway, Quentin Earl Darrington, Terrence McNally, and Margot Seibert are all going to be there honoring Ahrens and Flaherty.
So nice.
Yes.
So nice.
Totally. Freddie Walker Brown, who was the original Joanne in Rent, is going to take part in a pair of Rent concerts. Pardon me.
You're very emotional about
I'm
Rent.
so emotional
I know. Yeah,
about
I know.
Rent.
Me too.
At Jonathan Larson's alma mater, the Adelphi University Performing Arts Center in Garden City, New York. That'll take place on September 16th and 17th, and Freddie Walker Brown is going to be joined by Lily Cooper, Felicia Boswell, Sidney James Harcourt, and more.
And more. I love it, and more.
Yes.
More news. Cherry Jones is joining the cast of a new film called Boy Erased. She's a 2-time Tony winner.
Yes.
And it's Lucas Hedges is in this film. Nicole Kidman is in this film.
Oh my God.
Russell Crowe, a.k.a. Javert, is in this
Yes.
film. The movie follows Jared, Lucas Hedges, and it's the son of a Baptist pastor in a small American town who is outed to his parents, played by Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe at 18. So that should be very dramatic. I can guess right now. And the last little bit of news for you is that Tommy Kail, the Tony Award-winning director of Hamilton, has been tapped to direct and produce a pilot series titled Immediate Family. And it follows a real-life hero who's convinced he's the only one who can keep his family together. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Apparently, this series is going to be live and interactive. whatever that means. So I was discussing it with my boyfriend last night, and we were thinking that maybe there'll be like some sort of like you can tweet and it's like choose your own adventure thing. I'm kind of into it.
I'm so on board.
Can you imagine if they did that as like a musical too? They like choose your own adventure musical where like you at intermission, because you don't want to bring out your phone like any other time, like intermission you could tweet and decide. Kate Shindle approves. Okay, so that's all the news.
That's it.
Andy, I'm gonna kick you, not physically,
What?
out of here. And when we get back, just you wait. Kate Shindle's coming. See you in a second.
Caption. My dad and I were exactly alike.
I see everything.
Caption. My dad and I were nothing alike. Maps show you what is simple and true. Try laying out a bird's eye view. Not what he told you, just what you see. What do you know that's not your dad's mythology?
Bad foundation, twisting floorboards, shoddy pipes, a gaping hole. It's a lot to keep under control. Something cracking, something's rotting, piles of ruin and debris. Killing me, crushing me, pushing me. But when the sunlight hits the parlor wall at certain times of day, I see how fine this house could be. I see it so damn clear. What's the matter? Why am I standing here?
Your sweater and your bearing and the just right clothes you're wearing. Your short hair and your dungarees and your lace-up boots and your keys. Oh, your ring of keys. I know you. I know you. I know you.
There's a new Best Musical on Broadway that you'll want to see again and again and again. The New York Times says, I loved it. It's a miracle on Broadway. Groundhog Day. Get your tickets today.
Joining me now is a person whose Legally Blonde remix, the final performance, I have watched probably more times than anything else on YouTube, number one. She's also the current star of the national tour of Fun Home. In the meantime, she's also the acting president of Actors Equity. She is the president of Actors Equity. And by the way, she also was Miss America. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, Kate Shindle.
Hi.
We have a really large studio audience here today, as you could tell.
I have to say, I love your crib here. It's
Thank
pretty
you.
amazing.
Thank you. It's mine. I
Yeah.
built it myself. Kate Shindle.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks
I'm
for
great.
coming.
Thanks. We've had a couple weeks off in the sort of dog days of August, which has been amazing because, as much as I love doing the show, I also kind of love being in the city and not having to look for work.
Yeah.
So
That's really, you're just like hanging out, relaxing.
Yeah.
And the
like
weather's
taking
been
my dog
like
to the park.
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's been perfect.
How has the tour been? How long have you guys been out?
We started rehearsals actually almost exactly a year ago. We started rehearsals late August, I think 24th of 2016. We started performances in Cleveland on October 2nd, and we've been pretty much continuously going since then. And we are now, when we pick back up again, we go through the first week of October. December.
How many cities have you played? Do you know off the top of your head?
No.
Okay.
The answer is
The answer is
I
no.
could list them all for you and we could count them, but I think that your fine viewers have other things.
Yeah, other things to do. How's it been going? How has the tour been going?
It's so great. When I first got hired for this, when I got cast and then it got announced, there were any number of friends of mine who were, I don't know, maybe trepidatious about how it would play outside of New York City. And I understand that, but I have to say that the critical response and the audience response has been tremendous.
Yeah, that was my next question was, because again, like when the show was in New York, it was so well received and people really just responded, unbelievably to it. Has it been sort of consistent everywhere you've gone? Have you had that sort of emotional reaction from audiences all across the country?
Yeah, it's been different from city to city, but in general, I would say it's been overwhelmingly positive, right? So It plays really well in theater towns. Like when we got to Minneapolis, for example, that it was like doing a rock concert. You know, there are certain places that are not surprising in terms of how well it's done, like San Francisco or Seattle. San Francisco, there's a line in the show about right before Ring of Keys when Small Al sees an old school butch, and in some cities the word butch gets a laugh because I think it's just not something that people use colloquially as much. In San Francisco, they were just like, oh, that's just a thing we talk about all the time, you know? So that wasn't a surprise. What I would say was a pleasant, kind of amazing surprise is how positively it's been responded to in places like Durham or Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, in the era of HB2, there are always questions about how a show with LGBTQ themes is going to be received, but we were almost sold out in Durham before we even opened in Cleveland. Yeah. So people find our show.
How was it transferring from a In the Round production to a Proscenium production? Because in New York, it was done with I mean, it was done all around you. Not all around you, but it was in the middle. It was a circle in the square. Right. And then now it's playing in Proscenium theaters. Right. What was that transition like?
That was the only thing that I was actually trepidatious about. You know,
really?
How is this small show going to translate to these huge houses? Not just the Proscenium, but I think the biggest theater we played was the Fox in St. Louis, and it's got like 3,500 seats. So how do you tell an intimate story in a large space without pushing or making it a musical? Because like that doesn't work for our show. We had to start staging it from zero. And the amazing thing, the thing that felt really great is that we had a creative team, in particular our director, Sam Gold, and our set designer, who, David Zinn, I don't want him to think I don't know his name, who were excited to do something different. And it took about 10 minutes into the first rehearsal before I realized, oh, they've got this. You know, there are some, like we don't have all the elevator platforms in the stage like you had in Circle in the Square, but there is a reveal toward the end of the show, just sort of a trick of the set that is fantastic. And I remember the first night I saw it happen, sitting in the audience and just sort of watching them dry tech. I sort of shouted, and then a couple days later we were up there doing tech, and I could hear Janine Tesori just yelling in the theater. It's just it's really cool. So, I mean, the good news is it's a good story. It's like if you want to sing a great song, but you don't want to do it with all the production, great songs allow you to strip it down to just the basic melody. And I think that a similar thing is true of Fun Home. It's a really well-crafted, well-told story. And so you can do it without, you can do it in any number of different scenarios.
Did you see it when it was on Broadway?
I did. I saw it twice.
And did you love it?
I not only loved it, I left there going, they're casting the tour and I'm going to get it. Like,
that was what I was going to say. So did you know, was it something that you were like, I think I could play that role?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I really wanted to. I thought that it was a really haunting piece of theater, and I threw everything I had at figuring out, first, how to get an audition, because that's not always a given, and second, just preparing the material. And there are very few shows that I spend a lot of time picking out outfits for auditions, or like doing that like minute detail work, not to mention working on the material like a maniac, but this was one of them. And so I'm really glad it worked out.
I was going to say it worked out.
Depressed.
But this is so different than anything really you've ever done before.
It's definitely different from anything I've done in New York.
Okay.
It's one of the things about being a New York actor. A lot of times you feel like you do really great work, but it's, it's an out-of-town theater, and although the audience is there and the industry there are great, New York doesn't necessarily see that's in your toolkit. So this, it's different, but in an amazing way.
How have you been balancing being the lead of a national tour and also being the leader of the Actors Equity Association?
It's a juggle, but life's a juggle, right?
It is.
I think that the amazing thing about being on tour is that we have 29 liaison cities, which are areas with a concentration of more than 100 members.
Okay, cool.
And so we definitely, as a national union, interact with those liaison chairs, with those individuals who are like basically the unofficial president of their city. But I don't often get the luxury of sitting down with them. And I've been able to go from city to city and sit down and find out okay, what are the things that are most important to the actors in this community?
That's really amazing that you've
Yeah.
gotten to do that.
Well, it just seemed like an opportunity I didn't want to waste. And so whether it's advocating for local hiring so that people who live in Philadelphia actually get to do the shows in Philadelphia. Not everybody gets jobbed in from New York, or that maybe there are some sort of customary rule violations that nobody really wants to report in real time because they don't want it to blow back on them, but we can sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
And then I can sort of make sure that our staff's aware of the fact that people are bending the rules and that no, actors deserve to be paid for their housing, housed instead of like having to crash on somebody's couch so that they can be considered a local hire. It's great. It's super interesting.
It is really interesting to me. Were you involved with equity? Like, have you been involved for a really long time? Like, since you were a New York actor, since you were since you got your card?
I actually missed my college graduation, which is one of the few things that I would change if I could.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would give up the fact that I was doing Into the Woods and Summer Stock, and that's how I got my card.
Yeah.
I mean,
out of all the shows, like that's like a good one to
right?
do. Yeah.
So that was in 1999, and I moved here right after that summer. And I've been an equity member, obviously, ever since. I was elected to the council, I believe, in 2008. I ran for and became Eastern Regional Vice President in 2009. And then in 2012, I decided I wanted to try producing. And you can't do both. You can't be an officer of a union and an employer of members legally.
Okay.
So I stepped away from it for 3 years, and then I knew there was another election coming up, and I thought, why not? So, yeah, I'm a big believer in unions for artists. I think that the love of what we do is so compelling that it is fairly easy at times for employers, producers, whatever, to bring out the competitive spirit in a way that becomes a race to the bottom. And I think that every actor and stage manager should know that that we are essential to theater. No disrespect to our amazing collaborators, but you can do a show without a set, but you can't do it without the actors.
Yes.
And it's good to have a stage manager there to make sure everyone's on time and safe.
Yeah, I'm really, really fascinated by Actors Equity. We were talking a little bit about it before, but at when you came in, and now that you've been there and you started this Equity 2020 campaign, I would love for you to kind of talk about it and what the whole idea is and getting people re-engaged and how's it been going.
Yeah, Equity 2020 is a campaign that we've been working on this year to find out what equity members want from our union. Because it's one thing for us to sit on West 46th Street and say, you know what, I think that the members in Cleveland want this.
Yeah.
But it's better to just ask them. And so we did that. We've done we did a number of focus groups across the country, and what we came up with was this Equity 2020 campaign focusing on being an activist, aggressive, inclusive, and responsive union. And so one of the things that we also needed to talk about in order to make those things happen and expand our organizing department and bump up our communications is the first proposed dues increase in 15 years.
15 years.
15 years. We're trying to run a 2017 organization on $2,002, which is hard.
Yeah, very.
So we've had to put out what I consider to be a fairly modest increase of about $50 per year per member. But what we're going to get for it is exciting. We'll be able to go after those additional contracts in theaters, for example, that have a certain number of equity and a certain number of non-equity actors in the cast, for example. So I think it's exciting and important. And if you are an equity member and you are watching this, you only have 2 more days to vote.
I was going to say, it's this week.
It's this week. And if you didn't get a ballot, email 2020@actorsequity.org. Even if you want to vote against it, just vote. Just vote.
Your
The
voice
union's
heard.
us, It's you and me
It's
and
not a they.
everybody else. Right. I think that's a big, if there's one misperception that I could correct, it would be to remind actors and stage managers that equity is not a bunch of people, as I said a little bit ago, in a beige building writing rules.
Right.
It's us. And the more engagement we have for the members, the more strength we have at the bargaining table. So it directly benefits you to participate in your union as well.
Well, I appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, thank you.
And
You're welcome.
I think it's great. Should we talk about questions that we're getting?
Yes.
Okay, so Alec, yes. Hi, Allie. All these
Alec.
people.
Love from Dartmouth. Hi, Dartmouth.
I
I have met Allison Bechtel.
You
Wanna
have.
do that one?
Yeah.
I've met Allison several times. I met her here in New York during rehearsals. She came to our opening in Cleveland and LA and San Francisco, and she's done press for us. She is kind
jet
of
setter.
Yeah, she's like a dream collaborator, I think, for our creative team, because she's been so supportive without trying to like give me line notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and like human notes, since like you're literally playing
actual her.
Yeah, you're playing
yes.
her, right? Okay.
And we did, you know, it's also cool to be reminded that Allison is not just somebody whose story we're telling on stage. She's a rock star. I did a talkback with her in San Francisco, and it was a surprise talkback, and pretty much the entire audience stayed.
Yeah, I
like,
mean, you're in San Francisco,
they
like
worship her.
yeah.
Yeah.
George wants to know, is Allison or Sally Bowles more emotionally draining?
I would call them, on paper, pretty equal. But the thing about Fun Home that I think is amazing is that as draining as it is, Allison gets to a place where she's ready to live the rest of her life. And Sally Bowles does not. So, you know, if you're walking off the stage at the end of the show, the finale of Fun Home to me is uplifting and positive, even though it's come at the end of a bunch of intense and sometimes messy stuff.
Yeah.
When you finish your show as Sally Bowles, like, here comes World War II,
Yeah, it's
and
just like,
I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen Cabaret.
I
but
mean, if you haven't seen Cabaret,
it's Sally's got a tough row to hoe ahead of her.
yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of talked a little bit about this before, but Bradley was wondering, what is the hardest part of playing these larger stages?
Not pushing, trusting the material, and also I think it's tricky, but it's also a great thing, giving the audience enough credit for paying attention and listening and being able to process, which means keeping the pacing up, because with a show like ours where there's a lot of detail and a lot of emotional stakes, if the audience gets ahead of you, you're dead.
Right.
And because we find out at the beginning of the play what happens to Bruce,
Right.
We have to really stay in the moment with them. But that's just theater too. I mean,
I just had a question and then it escaped my brain. So we're gonna go to this one. Bradley wants to know, is there a role that you'd most like to revisit?
Oh, you know, I would play Sally Bowles every 10 years till I'm dead or no one hires me anymore.
I'm in. I'm down.
Yeah. I also, you know, I feel like we're reaching a cultural tipping point for this, but I did City of Angels in college. Right? Doesn't everybody want City of Angels?
I am ready for
Yes.
City of Angels.
I played Bobby and Gabby when I was like 18 years old, and I'd like to do it as a sentient adult.
Yeah.
And you know, I yes, that needs to happen.
You're like,
I would really
City of Angels, that's the one.
Yeah.
Got it, great. Broadway in Boston. Broadway in Boston said, we can't wait to have Fun Home in Boston. Is there something you're looking forward to most while you're in town? I went to school there, so
I'm
I
obsessed
can.
with Boston.
It's the best.
I'm looking forward Boston. I'm looking forward to everything. One thing that I want to figure out is where to ride my road bike, because I've been driving the whole tour pretty much, and taking my bike with me
Everywhere.
Yeah, and you know, last time I worked in Boston, I worked at the Huntington in 2013, and we got there about 2 weeks after the marathon bombing. So it was a really intense time to be in Boston, but it was like New York right after 9/11, where you know, the city had really been through something, but people were still thanking the cops and firefighters on the street, and it was a really, as tragic as it was, I got to be there for the unifying and hopeful moment.
I was gonna say like that. I mean, I was in school during that time, and I like.
Oh,
that,
right.
Yeah.
You were in college
I was
then.
still in college then. Yeah, but I remember those the months following the events. It was such a unifying thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was so powerful to be there after we had sort of come out of that. And it's funny that you say it was similar to New York after 9/11, because I was always so curious about that. That if there was, obviously you can't even compare it because they're two totally different things. But the energy,
the spirit of the
Yeah.
people. You know, I think if you give humanity a chance, they'll usually surprise you in a positive way. Nobody wants to go through something like 9/11 or like the marathon bombing in order to get to a place of unity. But if you have to go through it, if it happens to you or in your immediate environment, then it's good to know that people are going to support and care about each other afterwards.
And you look at what's happening in Houston right now. I mean, everybody's just like
happening in
coming
Houston.
together and helping their neighbors.
I'll
and
tell you what, we were just there in May.
Oh, so you were just there.
We were just there. I've worked at the Alley in the past. I've had a sort of long relationship here and there with folks from the Alley, and they took me on a tour of their space. They moved to a college campus for a year so they could renovate their space.
Wow.
And they just put in offices and a new wig room and dressing rooms and everything downstairs. And they just moved back in. They were still like laying the flooring when I was there. So my heart goes out to them. I sent money to the Red Cross like everybody. I would like to do more, and I feel like that kind of cultural institution will rebound, but it's just, at least stuff can be replaced. You know, I am more hoping that all the artistic personnel and the company members, and including at the Hobby Center where we played with Fun Home and everywhere in the city, I hope those people are okay, because people aren't so easily replaceable.
I understand, and I am emotionally feeling it too. I was very emotional last night. Alec wants to know, taking a right turn, have you ever seen any regional productions of Legally Blonde?
No. However, you know, when you want to run for president of equity, when you want to run for an equity office, you have to get a petition signed. And you have to have 17 members in good standing sign your petition so that you can run. And of course I got down to like the night before the petition was due and was like, I only have 5 signatures, what do I do? But there was a Legally Blonde EPA at Ripley Greer. For those of you who aren't equity members, it's an equity principal audition. It's like the required auditions before a show happens. So I thought, I'm just gonna go to that.
No.
I didn't audition, but I
You
just
just
like
showed up? Oh my
outside, like in the waiting area, and I was like, hi. You know, it only took a second. I mean, before people were like, hey, but I got that petition signed.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
lightning.
real quick.
It was great.
You're so smart.
Yeah, just working all the angles.
Ryan wants to know, and we can leave it here, any inspiring or emotional encounters with fans or theater goers after a show? I'm sure there's lots.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Anything specific pops
I mean,
to your memory?
after any show, right? I'm always sort of amazed by the things that people share with you at the stage door.
Yeah.
But with Fun Home, it's been particularly profound.
Yeah.
You know, and I've mentioned these examples a couple times recently, but you know, there are so many kids who, you know, teenagers, young adults, who are trying to figure out where they fit. And they come to our show and then they stand outside the stage door just crying, you know. There was one kid that came to the show in San Francisco and said, you know, I'm gay and my dad was gay and he died a couple years ago. There was a girl that brought her mom in Des Moines and said, I wanted my mom to understand what I've been going through this year. There was a young woman that came to Charlotte and said her father had committed suicide recently, and she was always really into music. She was a singer, but she hasn't been able to sing since her dad died because they used to make music together, and she thought this might help her to get to the place where she could reconnect with music. I mean, it's the real deal.
So it's just, I mean, it's endless.
Well, and, you know, there are any number of things that we get invited to do because of this show.
Of course.
Our Reed player has a college friend who is a caseworker at the only LGBTQ teen homeless shelter in the state of Texas. And there aren't many across the country that are that specific, but this is the only one in Texas. And we went, you know, and they're trying, it's called Strive Youth Center, I believe.
Strive Youth Center.
And we went there, and it's, you know, they're sort of located on the campus of a more general population homeless shelter, and they're desperately interested in getting their own space. And they need to raise $200,000 to move out of there, get their own space, and have those kids in a really safe and healthy place.
Yeah.
And so looks like we're doing a fundraiser for them in Dallas. I want us to adopt them, because $200,000 is a lot of money to me, but it's not that much money in the fundraising world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm into it.
Thrive, strive.
Strive, thrive.
You'd think I would have looked that up before I came on TV.
I mean,
Facebook TV, and talked about it.
Facebook TV. It's a real thing now.
Yeah.
What cities are you going to? You're going to Boston.
I have to do it in order. We're going to Tempe, Dallas.
Oh my God, Tempe's, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. It's very cold there right now.
Yes.
It's
Tempe,
not.
Dallas.
Tempe, Dallas, Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
Then we do Nashville, Boston. I'm not sure of the order on these. Nashville, Boston, Rochester, Providence, Schenectady, and then Tampa. And that's it.
If you are in one of those cities and you haven't seen Fun Home, you must go.
Have to go.
It is an emotional roller coaster. It is beautiful. This human being is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming
pleasure.
and hanging out today.
I would do this anytime. I think this
You
is
are
super
welcome
fun.
here anytime. Seriously. Anytime you want to come hang out, we can like
Stand in
watch
the
old Legally
corner.
Blonde videos.
Sing gratuitously
Yep.
high, show off
I'm
notes.
into yes, I'm in. I'm sold. You're the best.
You're the best.
And if you're an equity member and you haven't voted,
vote.
Vote.
What's wrong with you? Vote.
Vote. Yes or no, but vote. Do say something. Thanks again.
You're the best.
We will see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. with another amazing guest. Bye, everybody.
Bye.